On this bonus episode of Locked On Jayhawks, Kansas football has an offensive line commit in 2025 with Anderson Kopp.
You are Locked On Jayhawks, your daily podcast on the Kansas Jayhawks. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
I'm Derek Johnson. You can find me on Twitter at DJohnsonRadio. Thanks for making Locked On Jayhawks your first listen every day. Thank you to everydayers out there. We are free and available anywhere you get your podcasts, including on our YouTube page. We will have something up on LeBaron Philon with that news of him requesting his release from his NLI. But here's some KU football news on this bonus episode of the show. We're going to be talking about Kansas landing Anderson Kopp, who is a three-star offensive line recruit in the class of 2025, what it means, overview of the class, and also a little brief touching on the Cobee Bryant news, so to speak, for KU. Let's start right there with Anderson Kopp. He is a 6'3", 275-pound interior offensive lineman from Arizona, where he attends Brophy College Prep. He tweeted out that he was committed. Pop's going to like this one is what he tweeted. Hashtag RCGAH. Hashtag committed. And what he's referring to when he says Pop's going to like this is that his dad played for KU. He was of Aloha Bowl lineage. Kevin Kopp, his dad, was a starter on the defensive line for Kansas during Glen Mason's 1995 Aloha Bowl team, and Kevin Kopp was on the team at Kansas from 1993 to 1996. And this is a quote that Anderson gave to Jayhawk Slant and John Kirby. He said, "We were back there twice a month for the first 10 years of my life. My parents thought about going back. We've been to numerous KU football games. I've toured the facility 4 times, so the KU one was special." He also later added, quote, "I've been bleeding blue since I came out of the womb." So this is a kid, I mean, you're never going to dislike having a kid who has a lot of pride and passion playing for the university, in addition to what they're bringing to the table. Now, he's unranked on 24/7 Sports. That'll change at some point here for the class of 2025. He was graded as an 85 overall 3-star with On3 and the number 11 player in Arizona. And so I guess KU's Arizona pipeline continues, though this one is a little bit different. He also was a 5.5 graded 3-star on Rivals. He had offers from Iowa State, Memphis, UTEP, Bowling Green, Army, Navy, San Diego State, Air Force, and others. Doesn't sound like this unbelievable list of teams, but he was starting to blow up in recruiting because it was at like the beginning of February, end of January, when he got offers from Iowa State and Kansas and San Diego State, which were like some of the best offers. So like clearly his recruiting level was going up. And then I'm sure at some point, like some of these other bigger schools, like I'm not going to waste time recruiting this kid, knowing that he, again, he talked about having like Patrick Mahomes stuff in his room and Kansas stuff in his room, like clearly a big Kansas fan. His dad played there. So if you're, another Big 12 school or another, ACC school or something like that, you're sitting there going, I'm not going to use up my time trying to recruit this kid, right? So don't pay attention too much to the offers, though there is one thing I want to pay attention to with the offers. I think it's very interesting when you look at some of the recent offensive linemen that KU has brought in, like I think of Kene and Nene as one of these guys. There's a lot of guys that they've brought in on the offensive line that have offers to either like the military schools, Army, Navy, Air Force, and or like really smart schools like Ivy League schools like a Columbia or Brown or something like that, which I think is very interesting. I'm not saying Kansas is looking to see, those schools offered him, we're going to offer him now. That's not what I'm saying. But I do think there is a correlation that Kansas very much values, especially in the interior of the offensive line. I think at the tackle position, they want the length. They want the projectability. They want guys that can fill into their body and have that NFL type size, that high level size. But on the interior, they want guys who are smart. They want guys who are mobile. They want guys who are gritty. And if you're getting guys who have all these offers from military schools and from these like Ivy League schools, you're going to be a smart player because there's a lot that you have to process in the complicated offense, and they want players they can trust and know what they're going to do. And I do think there is a real correlation there. As far as the scouting report, not a ton out there. I saw Kevin Flaherty, who somebody hire him. I know he's doing great work with the Kansas City Sports Network now. So that's really cool with him doing that podcast there. But anyway, he said on Twitter, really nice get, plays tackle in high school and shows nice feet and intensity on finished blocks, but projects inside at the next level. I personally watched a few highlight clips of him, and not a great scouting report at all, nor am I a scout. So, take this for what it's worth. But from what I saw, dude loves to get out in the open field on screens and downfield and just absolutely level and maul defenders. It was kind of fun to watch. And so when you think about it, what does KU like to do? They like to do a lot of those outside runs, those wide zones. Well, what does that require? It requires offensive linemen who are mobile, who are good at getting out in space and blocking guys out in space, whether they're just sweeping out there or the pulling guard or something like that, or a pulling center. And this kid looked like he was very good at those things. So it feels like a good fit from that perspective. And as far as how he fits in, he played center, guard, and right tackle last year in high school. So he brings versatility, which KU obviously very much likes there. Profiles more as an interior guy. He actually said that his main position, it seems like KU is recruiting him to be a future center. And if we're just looking at the interior overall for KU, you're going to be losing Daryl Simmons Jr., Michael Ford, Shane Bumgarner after this year. Then in what would be Kopp's true freshman season in 2025, Nolan Gorchika, Kobe Baines, Stray Dorian, DK Stearns, they would all be redshirt seniors. And then from that point, he'd join guys like Harrison Utley, trying to be kind of the future guys on the offensive line come 2026 and or beyond. But I do think he's going to be more of a multi-year, develop him up before you get him on the field, but profiles to be maybe a future center. And I think beyond all that, this is big because the original offer came with Scott Fuchs as your offensive line coach. And now as Kansas has made the transition to Daryl Egpalsa, they were still able to bring in a target they're going after. And albeit it's a little bit different, maybe one that's a little bit more of a signed, sealed, and delivered package because of the KU ties, but it's still a good sign that you can never have enough good offensive linemen and that your new offensive line coach didn't change things up and that you were able to go out and get one of these targets for KU. Let's continue on. Overall look at the class of 2025 and Cobee Bryant news. Scoreboard is not looking good. You're feeling low, not sure you or your team can pull out a win. That's when you dig deep, lift your head up, and say to yourself, time to get back in the game, pull off some bank heists, and take as much of my friends' money as I possibly can. That's right. The smash hit mobile game Monopoly Go lets you compete with your friends to get the most riches and the biggest empire. It's the Monopoly you love, but on your phone, anytime, with tons of new twists, including leaderboards to compare your progress to your buddies. There's so much to do. You can play on countless dynamic Monopoly boards. You don't have to go to the store and get all the Monopoly boards. You can play there. Make your friends bankrupt by smashing their landmarks with a wrecking ball. Charge other players rent for iconic properties. You can even work with your friends to crack open community chests and in tournaments to get extra rewards and climb the leaderboard. So get back out there, put on your game face, and download Monopoly Go, now free on the App Store or Google Play Store. Okay, overall class of 2025 for KU. This is 3 commits now. As far as what they have, you have Anderson Kopp, obviously. Malachi Curley, he is a 3-star athlete / linebacker from the state of Iowa. And he had an 87 grade on 24/7 Sports, which if he's going to play linebacker, out of comparison, Ja'Cory Stewart and John Kamara from the class of 2024, they were 86s. So, that's a nice pickup there. David McComb, 3-star quarterback from Oklahoma. He has an 86 grade on 24/7 Sports. I think he's ranked highest on ESPN. Out of comp, Isaiah Marshall was given an 89, but a lot of people are very high on what McComb can bring to the table. So as far as what they still need, it's a lot. KU has a ton of seniors. By my quick count, of just scholarship seniors, which you don't entirely know which ones are on scholarship and don't. In football, it's a little bit harder to figure out, but I believe there's 28 scholarship seniors. Again, that could be 1 or 2 off, plus or minus, right, with some of this stuff. One of those was Deshaun Hanukkah too, which with the injury he suffered, I don't know if he's going to be out for the year. If he is that going to lead to a medical red shirt? Could he come back? And so that you're not losing him possibly. But either way, point being, there's a lot of seniors and a lot of players you're going to have to replace at the end of this season. And that doesn't even account for, if you have guys who leave early for the NFL draft, like if Jalen Daniels balls out and stays healthy this year and then leaves for the NFL at the end of the season, there's another player who could possibly be gone, right? So they're going to have to fill a lot. And it's not just going to come down to high school players. They're going to fill a lot in the transfer portal too. But obviously building up a nice high school class would be huge. And one thing they excelled at last year was getting the high school class in tow, getting it mostly done by the time the season started, to where you don't have to worry about it in season, to where you're just spending your time re-recruiting the guys you already have committed and making sure they're staying to their commitment. That worked out so well for KU last year. When you look at guys like Deshaun Warner and Harry Stewart and some of the great recruits that they brought on And that's what they really like to do. And so they're going to try to do that. And it's even more imperative this time because you are going to have so many spots to fill. And as far as what positions that they need, it's pretty much all over from the high school level. Like, I guess you're solid at QB. Maybe you don't need a QB. You could take a running back or not take one. It seems like there are a few guys they've been interested in that I've seen just like an offers come out or something like that. But if they don't, you could have Daniel Highshaw back next year, and you have a couple of these freshmen like Johnny Thompson and Harry Stewart, whatever. You definitely need receivers bad. You can never have enough offensive and defensive linemen. I'd imagine they're going to bring on a lot of those. You'll lose a lot of defensive backs this year, but you also have recruited that position really well, both at corner and safety the last couple of years. So maybe you don't need as many there as you might have thought. You probably still need more, though, and always needing more linebackers at this point where you're still working on that position. I think we're probably too far away with only 3 recruits in total at this point for KU from saying one position is off limits. The only one would probably be high school quarterback. But outside of that, it's just, recruit the best players and target a bunch of positions and hope that the dominoes fall the right way for KU. All right, let's finish up with some Cobee Bryant stuff on Locked On Jayhawks. First, this episode of Locked On Jayhawks is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. It's playoff time in the NBA and NHL. Baseball is in full swing, and FanDuel is your place to bet on every game. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's $150, win or lose. Bet on everything from slap shots to home runs to slam dunks, all on an app that is safe, secure, and easy to use. What are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and make your first bet an automatic win. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook and official sportsbook partner of the Locked On Network. Okay, so this is some Cobee Bryant news. So if you'd been missing it on Twitter, there had been some stuff going around, some rumors, I guess you would say, which different people from the Colorado area saying that Colorado was working on basically trying to get Cobee Bryant to transfer to them and trying to poach him from Kansas and out of the portal and have him coached by Deion Sanders and stuff like that. Cobee Bryant kind of played into it a little bit on social media, which he's been known to do once or twice. He is somebody who likes to mess around. I think in general that was something, and talking to a lot of players last year, like he loves to like shadow box with the other friends. And he's always somebody who's kind of needling at somebody else, like in a good-natured, fun way. He just likes to have fun. He's a college kid, and you have a bunch of fans in the palm of your hand, and you can mess with them a little bit. Like for some kids, they're going to get a kick out of that, right? So he was playing into that, whether it was real or whether it was just messing around or maybe a little bit of both. I don't know. But either way, there was an announcement today that he tweeted out, "I'm not going anywhere. Jayhawks forever." And there was also like a Pete Thamel report that he tweeted it out. So I guess that ends any rumor, which I know there were some people that were worried about some of the stuff that was going on in the rumors. That should end any of it. And Cobee Bryant will be rocking that number 2 uniform once again for KU this upcoming season, and hopefully many, many more pick sixes on the year for KU. All right, that'll do it for this episode of Locked On Jayhawks. You can find our show anywhere you get your podcasts, including on our YouTube page. Back for a LeBaron Philon episode and plenty more to come at you, so make sure you're subscribed anywhere you get your podcasts.